I know I'm gonna get in trouble on YouTube for doing a video about this, but I want to. I really want to address it because the stories are popping up, and I feel like one of the reasons these stories are popping up is because of the coincidences of. Okay, let me slow down. Okay, Kevin Spacey. You know who he is, famous actor. Actually, a really good one. I think he does a great job. And I think before all of the big scandals and the Me Too accusations, he's one of the most popular actors in the world, probably. The reason they did House of Cards, this is my understanding, could be wrong, apocryphal perhaps, is that Netflix saw people loved Kevin Spacey movies, so they were like, let's do something with Kevin Spacey. But then he started getting accused of, groping and doing inappropriate things. And then he had the famous Kevin Spacey defense, which I don't know if you guys remember, but when people started coming out and accusing him of assault, he comes out with a statement where he's like, I'm gay, by the way. Take that one out of context, why don't you? Anyway, first, this is a sad story, okay? And this is one of the reasons why I want to address this, because I do see a lot of people talking about it, and I think it's not cool, right? Kevin Spacey, accuser, dies by suicide on Christmas Day at 47. The subject of the story is Kevin Spacey. The man who took his own life is just the accuser. That made me kind of angry, right? This is the story I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of stories. Let me be real for a second, okay? It is weird that I think now, 3 people, maybe 4 or so, who have accused Kevin Spacey have died. But you know what? Sometimes it happens, and I don't think we should be playing some silly game. Kevin Spacey came out with some video on Christmas Eve where he said something about killing people with kindness. I'll read this story. But here's the main point I want to get before we move on with this coincidence theory that's starting to emerge. This guy lost his life. He lost his life to suicide. I don't like the idea that he's an object in the story, not the subject of the story. The story should be that somebody was going through something and they lost their life. That's it, right? If you have evidence to present that Kevin Spacey for some reason is involved in this, by all means. But I feel like I know why people will say Kevin Spacey accuser. Because it's Kevin Spacey, because he's famous and a celebrity. And that's fair, fine, I get it. But also you have a lot of people who are talking about how he gets accused and then all of these people, start, mysteriously dying or whatever. And we get where the conspiracy is going. So I'm not accusing anybody of pushing the conspiracy. Let's read this story. And the first thing I want to drive home is the story should absolutely just be that, you know what, man, sometimes people take their lives. And the story should be about him and what he went through. And it should be a reminder to everybody that you should never give up. For whatever reason. I've seen a lot of messages over the holidays where people say, there's always somebody who will care for you. There's always a reason to live. One of the greatest messages I've ever seen when it came to, suicide or self-harm was if you've truly got nothing to lose, then there's nothing to risk. You have more opportunity than literally everyone. This is one of the more important messages I would say to people. For one, don't assume people don't care about you. Let's be real, though. This is one of the things that bothers me about. I'll go into this a little bit. I don't want to get too much into it, but I always see these messages where they're like, some people love you, don't hurt yourself. It's like, come on, man. Let's be real. You can't assume every single person has someone who loves them, and I personally don't feel like that's an effective message, especially when people don't know why they're depressed, or So certainly, some people might feel like they're not loved when they are, and it's important to remember that you very well may be. It's also important to remember that. We're here in this world for a reason. And maybe you didn't figure out what that reason is, and maybe you have to make it. But the point is, you're here. Don't squander your opportunity, no matter how bad you might feel. You need to, I can only really say it like this. Find the strength within, and even if you feel like you can't, trust me, you can. Right? That's what the story should be about. And so that's what I want to open with. And I'm sorry if that's not what's the most interesting point about this. But let's read the story, and I'm going to drive this point home again afterwards. But let's read. Norwegian author Ari Behn, who accused disgraced actor Kevin Spacey of groping him at a concert in 2007, died by suicide Christmas Day. He was 47. It's with great sorrow in our hearts that we, the closest to Ari Behn, must report that he took his own life today. A message read from Geir Håkansson. Sorry, I can't pronounce it right. I can't pronounce names. You guys know that. Ben's manager, according to The Hollywood Reporter, in a piece published Wednesday. That's who said it. We asked for respect for our private lives in the time to come. It comes after the former Norwegian royal, once married to Princess Martha Louise, accused the former House of Cards star in 2017 of groping him during a Nobel Peace Prize concert in 2007. Said we had a great talk. He sat right beside me. Ben shared with a radio station, per the BBC. After 5 minutes, he said, "Hey, let's go out and have a cigarette." And then Kevin Spacey did something very inappropriate. Now I want to tell you something. Here's a story from The Pluralist. 3 people who accused Kevin Spacey of assault have now died. I don't care. I don't. I don't want to play these games. I don't like this, Clinton body count stuff, this Spacey body count stuff. Come on, man. There are a lot of people who have been around Kevin Spacey, and I'm sure there are a lot more people who he's actually abused, presumably, that haven't said anything. And while it's entirely possible when you start seeing, statistics that don't match averages, like the amount of people losing their lives, fine, I understand the desire to actually question this. But my position is always, before you start putting out videos saying 3 people accused Spacey, have now died, we get, there's kind of an insinuation there. I don't want to be unfair and accuse pluralist of, trying to create some narrative. But I think, I just don't like it. I don't. Especially when it's a guy who accused Kevin Spacey in 2017. So what? It's been almost 3 years, 2.5 years, and then all of a sudden, the conspiracy would be that Kevin Spacey is now coming for him. No, man. It's a sad story about somebody who took their own life. Let's make that the subject, and let's try and do what we can to help people in need. And I don't like playing these games. Look, I'll be the first to admit. You look at the list people put out for Clinton body count, and you're like, that's a lot of people. That's a whole lot of people. But you got to be careful about the context of a lot of these things. You have to be really, really careful about who these people are, what their circumstances were, and you have to be careful about people who want to manipulate information and the context of that information for some kind of political gain. There are a lot of people who email me and send me a bunch of crazy, wacky things, and I typically ignore it. But we had kind of a couple things happen, notably when Kevin Spacey put out another one of these weird videos as Frank Underwood from House of Cards, because apparently that's the only character left Kevin Spacey can play. It got a lot of press. And then all of a sudden, stories started popping up of the people who accused Spacey somehow dying. And so, yeah, I think it's freaky. But let's read the story and see what Pluralist has to say. They say, the latest Ari Behn apparently committed suicide on Wednesday, Variety reported. Ben had been battling alcoholism for years, according to TMZ, so I don't see how it's relevant to Kevin Spacey. But the point of the story is they're talking about the other people, so they say, I guess they don't actually have the other people involved? Right. Well, let's read anyway. Ben said during an interview with a Norwegian radio station that Spacey, known for his many film roles, he says, I have a little Me Too story about Kevin Spacey. We were having a nice chat where we spoke about theater and drama, and the little theater, The Wick, a theater in London. We had a good conversation sitting beside each other. After 5 minutes, he said, hey, let's go out and have a cigarette. Then he grabbed me on the table right in the male parts. Linda Culkin, a woman who accused Spacey of harassment, was killed in a car crash in February. Culkin was obsessed with Spacey and had threatened to kill him, according to prosecutors who worked on the case related to Culkin's sending of death threats over mail on the internet. An anonymous massage therapist who was suing Spacey for assault died in September. Spacey released a video to his YouTube channel on Tuesday in which he urged people to take the high road when presented with challenges. The next time someone does something you don't like, you can go on the attack, but you can also hold your fire and do the unexpected, he said. You can kill them with kindness. Of all of the people I have to agree with, it's going to be Kevin Spacey. Because he's right. I've always told people if someone is, frustrating you or making you angry in some way, and this is an especially good, important message now in the holidays, the best thing you can do is actually return kindness to try and break that cycle of anger, or disengage. Don't return, the fire and fury. But I think it's important to point out why this story is being written about. And then I'm going to end with a little bit about suicide, just, for those that are interesting. I don't know, this will be a short video. I don't think any of these things are related in any way. One of the people who apparently accused him is a woman, and Kevin Spacey is attracted to men. I think that's right. Linda, a woman who accused him, and she was obsessed with him and clearly stalking him, so I don't see how this is relevant. But I know that the headlines are gonna be passed around. I'm seeing them pop up already. People are claiming like there's some kind of conspiracy going on. And while people are very careful not to say yes, they think there's a conspiracy, there have been photos popping up of Kevin Spacey with Bill Clinton, and then the headlines. It's like, dude, please, 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 no. All right, man, let me tell you something. This is the holiday season. This is a man who is reportedly battling alcoholism. And my heart goes out to his friends and his family, and it's about the best I could say. It's the holidays. People are sad. They long for maybe the family life they don't have anymore, sitting under the Christmas tree when they were kids, opening presents, and now they're older and they're lonely, or maybe they don't have a family, or maybe they're unfulfilled, maybe their dreams never came true, maybe they couldn't accomplish what they want to accomplish, and they're drinking. And some people make, in my opinion, a bad choice. Now I'll tell you this. It's your life, you know? Only you can control it. So I'm a firm believer in individual liberty and freedom. You will have to decide for yourself. But I want to remind all of you this holiday season, this New Year's, you have power. You really, really do. No matter what you might think, you have tremendous power. And dare I say it, the people who have nothing left to lose or feel like they don't at least have some of the most power. Now, that doesn't, I hope, you know, people don't take it to a dark place and don't hurt themselves or others. But it means that you can travel the world. You can just get up and walk. You can pack a backpack full of whatever you want. Just go walk and just do whatever. You've really got nothing to lose. I think, you know, you've got to find the strength within. If you're feeling lonely or alone, you know, I've been there, and I've always. I don't want to belittle anybody's feelings, because I think it's silly when some people try to claim like I can do it, so can you. But you know, at the very least, I believe everyone has the power. I really do, and you can't let that little voice in your head telling you don't take over. The story is not about Kevin Spacey, and that's really why I want to talk about this. Because on the holidays, you have stories about people who are depressed and sad and lonely, and then because of the proximity to Kevin Spacey, now there's people, you know, sharing this stuff. So I made my point. I'll leave it there, man. I believe in all of you. I believe in everyone. I really do. I believe people have strength and power, and I believe there are evil forces, if there's one way to put it, that will attack you from the inside and say you can't, say you're wrong, say things are bad. You have to do everything you can to squeeze that evil down and find the good, because no matter what happens, like at the very least, and I know people don't like it when I talk about this stuff, man, you could pack a bag full of apple seeds and walk across the countryside minding your own business, chucking those apple seeds. Just like that. You don't have to, you have no obligations. Some people think, you know, untether yourself if you're truly in a bad spot. I've always wondered this too. There's a lot of people who feel stuck in their lives, and I always wondered why not just into the wild, man. Remember that? Do you know that book, that movie about that young guy who just up and left and went into the wild? He ended up apparently eating like poison berries or something. So it's like, no, not the best story in the world. But the point is, isn't it better to just walk, just go out, find something, just change the way you see the world, change your surroundings. And I would also recommend this too. Like, the most important thing you can do is exercise. Yeah, seriously, man. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that stuff. I exercise as often as I can. It's the holidays, and so I'm clearly not at home, so I don't have my, you know, I don't have a treadmill or my skateboard or anything, but different story. The point is, exercise does wonders. And I think ultimately, there's this viral post that from a long time ago. It's from 4chan, talking about how the world is your oyster. If you've truly got nothing left to lose, then you can just go out and do anything without repercussion. You can walk up to any beautiful man or woman and say hello, because why not? Who cares? You got nothing left to lose, right? And you now have tremendous opportunity to take risks that the average person can't. So I hope that's the important message we get from this. I'll be honest, you know, considering it's the Kevin Spacey and like the three people, yeah, I get it. It's click-worthy. So, but I wanted to approach the story from kind of like a diffusing of this narrative. So maybe I didn't do that. Whatever. But whatever. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/TimCastNews, and I will see you all then.